button. You can follow us there. All the social media icons are found on our website at forthepeopleshow.com. You can find the icons there, contact us, and also you can become a member, a special member of keeping For the People on the air and alive and well in your area. And we do appreciate all our supporters nationwide who make this possible each and every day. Very much appreciate it. And if you like the show, then support the show. Okay? All right. Do you think North Korea in Charlottesville have made President Trump forget about that no vote Senator John McCain cast July 28th on the Obamacare, the skinny repeal amendment? From all indications in Trump's press conference at the Trump Tower in New York City, I played some of it earlier. He talked about the Arizona Republican vote. Remains very much on the president's mind. In fact, it came up when a reporter asked Trump about McCain's defense of H.R. McMaster, the national security advisor, who has been targeted with criticism for the alt-right activist. Senator McCain, you mean the one who voted against Obamacare? The president responded, you mean Senator McCain who voted against us getting good health care? Yeah, he's pretty sore about it, pretty upset about it. McCain was the one that did foil it. I mean, he really called it for what it was. He was the one that really just messed up the whole darn thing. And what's amazing, and folks in Arizona that are listening, we got a radio station out there, and we appreciate them. Their premiums are up over 100%, 200%. That's not making things better. That's not helping things. And a nice practical way, and I supported this thinking, and this is a Trump common sense approach. He said, let's repeal, as we go along, but we need to get this on the floor. We can repeal as we go along, a piece here, another piece there, another piece, until it's working, because Obamacare certainly imploded. What could be worse? What could be worse than people can't afford their medication? What could be worse than paying those premiums? Again, can't afford their medications. It's sending people to the poorhouse or having to make decisions and playing doctor. What medication should I take today? Oh, I can't take these 5. Okay, I have diabetes. I have 1 and 2. I guess what insulin would be better to take? It's sad, but this is going on in America today, and they just could not come together. And believe me, this makes the Republican Party look like horse crap. It really, truly does. And this is going to be further fodder in 2020. If they can't get this thing together and get this thing working, I mean, it is imploding all over the place. It is embarrassing, and it's sad. But yes, John McCain, the maverick, decides to do this to the poor people in his own state. They got to be wondering about this. I try to really like John McCain, but, you just don't know from time to time that this guy's not a Dem in a Republican suit. A lot of people believe that, by the way. It's just frustrating. I guess you can understand where President Trump's coming from, but his supporters, and I'm one of them. Very, very frustrating. You've probably heard something about the MS-13 gang. These people are bad news, and they're making a splash all across the country. They're all over. There is more than 10,000 members across 40 states, according to the FBI. I mean, they are the worst of the worst, folks. And the reason we're talking about it today is that there's more than a dozen alleged members of the feared MS-13 street gang that were arrested during early morning raids in Ohio and Indiana, according to the Department of Justice. A federal prosecutor said that a grand jury had charged 10 gang members of the Columbus clique with conspiracy to commit extortion and money laundering, as well as the use of firearms during a violent crime there in July. So the indictment alleges 10 conspired to commit extortion through the use of threats of actual force, violence to fear, to intimidate their victims into paying money to the defendants and their co-conspirators. The prosecutor said that money was sent usually by wire transfer and often through intermediaries to the MS-13 members and associates in El Salvador and elsewhere to promote the group's criminal activities. And these people are bad, folks, moving across our country. They kill children, pregnant women. They've extorted immigrant-owned businesses and trafficked underage girls to sell them for sex. And President Trump has ordered the Department of Justice to reduce crime and take down these criminal organizations. And he said they're going to be relentless in their pursuit of these objectives. Today's charges are a step forward, making this country safe again by taking MS-13 off our streets for good. 2 of the 15 charged by the grand jury, Jose Manuel Romero and Nelson Alexandria Flores, are still at large. Federal officials say that the gang has more than 10,000 members and associates operating in at least 40 states, including Ohio. Wow. 40 states and doing some horrible things. They are cracking down, and there is a task force. Their FBI Violent Crimes Task Force says that they've executed arrest warrants in neighborhood near Innis Park, still on the scene. I'm seeing some news from Channel 6 WSYX. There's some call letters for you. But they're climbing in on them. MS-13, called Mara Salvatore, is believed to have been founded as a neighborhood street gang in Los Angeles in the 80s by immigrants fleeing a civil war in El Salvador. And this gang has grown and has gotten bigger. Some of the members were deported from El Salvador and then helped turn that country into one of the most violent places in the world. And these vicious street gangs have garnered national headlines for its brutal killings, including those of 4 young men who were hacked to death in a New York park on April 18th. 19 killings on Long Island have been blamed on MS-13 since January 2016. So they're definitely violent, and I just say just be careful out there. We got definitely some thugs on our streets, and again, have nothing better to do than do these particular things. Extortion is a terrible thing. Trafficking, another big thing, in just any way that they can. And you thought it was just the mafia. No, the street gangs. And they are one of the deadliest known gangs in the United States operating now. Just FYI. So Nancy Pelosi, the House Democrat leader, she's asking the National Park Service to reconsider a permit for what she called a white supremacist rally that's set for sometime late this month in San Francisco in the wake of last weekend's clashes in Charleston. A report in the San Francisco Examiner said that a rally by the pro-Trump group, Patriot Prayer, is slated for August 26th at San Francisco's Crissy Field. The leader of the group has held other rallies in recently nearby and spoken out against white supremacy views, though critics like Pelosi have linked the group to white nationalists. So there's a little misunderstanding on this. Some people say that they're not racist. Pelosi, well before Tuesday's statement, had been harshly critical of the Trump administration's response, of course, to Charlottesville, as you know. Her statement questioned whether the permit decision for the rally in San Francisco was made with input from the White House without offering any proof to back up the suggestion. So the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, which oversees the park Parkland reportedly said Patriot Prayer has obtained permits. And the San Francisco Examiner, which I have a copy of, said that the counter-protests are being organized. As officials voice concern, U.S. Park Police might not have enough staff to handle the clashes at Crissy Field. San Francisco takes great pride in being a city of peace, which cherishes free speech and the right to public dissent. And Pelosi said, however, the National Park Service decision to permit a white supremacist rally at Crissy Field raises grave and ongoing concerns about public safety. Well, they're going to have to get enough folks out there if they've permitted it and they've allowed them to do it. I mean, they can move it anywhere pretty much, and they can protest and do what they're going to do, and there's going to be more of them. It's just how they handle this. And if you've the counter-protesters, they're going to have to be both. They're going to have to be reined in, and they can't be head-to-head like we're on a football field or something like that. It just cannot happen anymore. I understand people's concerns about it, and, to Nancy Pelosi for her being concerned about it, I think we should all be concerned about it. We don't want to see anybody else die. Heather Heyer today, memorial services being held right now, friends and family by the thousands coming out to grieve. Her family said that she was just trying to do the right thing to stand up against hatred. And unfortunately, we saw hate in America once again, and she was mowed down by a Nazi in 2017, folks. It's just hard to believe. Oh, sympathizer. He's not a Nazi himself, just believes that stuff is great. It's evil, folks. That's exactly what it is. Talking about evil, folks. There's an illegal immigrant in Utah who was deported many times before. We've talked about the immigration issue and why illegal immigration is so bad. This is a case in point. Another one. This little girl was telling investigators that Michael Lara molested her many times in the last 6 months. As a matter of fact, had raped her thousands of times, said St. George Daily Spectrum. I'm talking about Michael Lara. Been deported from the U.S. twice, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I'm reading his little stat here. He's being held right now in jail, $200,000 bail in Iron County Jail. Victor Francesco Michael Lara, 32, of Cedar City, Utah, was arrested. That's his full name, Victor Francesco Michael Lara, 32. 32 years old, arrested this past Sunday, faces first-degree felony charges of rape of a child, according to his arrest report. And he was placed on an immigration detainer. 2 times, folks, 2 times. This is what happens when you allow in these sanctuary cities, and it was just funny, Pelosi's out there in California, San Francisco, case in point. They're protecting these people. Why do you think this stuff continues? They allow this to happen in our sanctuary cities. They do not protect Mr. and Mrs. America. And to me, that's a shame. It's a shame that this continues. I wish to God that people would have some common sense, but again, they don't. It seems like the times that we live, people are not seeking out sound solutions. And if they were, we wouldn't be seeing this BS on our streets in our country that have made a lot of our cities and a lot of our towns cesspools. You heard right, cesspools. Disgusting. I heard Donald Trump talking about the infrastructure There's a lot of places in our country that do look like third world countries. Louisiana has the worst roads.